6 a.m. on your Tuesday morning, 1 day closer to wrapping up the month of April. 1 day closer to the Kentucky Derby. Have you picked out your bow tie yet? The only time of the year you wear a bow tie.
Yeah, nah, I wouldn't. Even if I was getting dressed up for the Derby, no bow ties for you, boy.
I totally understand. Yeah, get your outfits ready. Kentucky Derby on Saturday. Get your mint juleps ready. Mm-hmm. Don't ask why I thought about that coming in, but I was like, what goes every year? I wonder what goes into a mint julep. I have zero clue.
Bourbon.
Is it? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Guess I'll look into a mint julep on Saturday then. All right, celebrate a little bit on the birthday day for myself. Welcome in as we get you up and get you going fresh off a playoff night. Preston Thorne is, I say things start to die down. No UFL last night. No Birmingham Stallions.
No, we're still recovering from a dramatic loss in the first ever UFL overtime loss in the history of the UFL, but we'll be back.
And you said there was a kick six of 100?
Yeah, kick 608 yards. Memphis Showboats took it back. I mean, that's really the reason that propelled them, aside from us not having Matt Corral as quarterback, but that's neither here nor there.
Doesn't matter.
We're recovering. We're onward to the next week.
Upward and onward. Last night, playoffs. That's where we are at. How invested did you get last night? Because I feel like now we've transitioned. We're going to talk a lot about that this morning. Baseball is where baseball is at. They'll play tonight. We'll have it for you right here. 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch. Gamecocks and Charleston Southern. We'll have that for you. But it feels like we're transitioning out of that and into what could be a long summer. But you got playoffs.
Yeah, and the playoffs was great. Playoffs are great. We're going to try and convince everybody that you need to pick one of these playoffs, whether it's the NBA or the NHL. You need to find something and get invested. You can pick both, whatever. I watched a literal 15 minutes of the Warriors-Rockets game.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about 15 minutes in the game, like a quarter. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about literally 15 minutes. And in that 15 minutes, Draymond Green had a technical foul and a flagrant foul, and he also bricked the layup. It was like a quintessential moments of Draymond Green, and he also played lockdown defense.
Yeah.
It was 15. Bill, it wasn't 15 minutes of game time. It was 15 minutes of regular time.
Just 15 minutes of regular time.
And somehow or another, Draymond's legs just happened to find another player's head. He's falling on the ground, and his legs he just can't. All of a sudden, this elite athlete just never can control his body when he's falling on the ground. It's amazing. So it was perfect. And Dylan Brooks and him got into a skirmish. It was as advertised.
That game was really good last night. I did get into a little bit of that game. And the Warriors, do people realize the Warriors are like the lower or the higher? I don't know what you want to go, whatever, however you want to. They're the worst seed.
Yeah.
They are not the good seed. And last night, to your point, they take a 3-1 game lead on Houston. Here's what I saw last night. You tell me if I'm wrong. You tell me. I saw the wily veterans.
Yeah,
that's what they are. They're the YMC guys, the ones that step on your foot when you're trying to rebound.
No doubt.
You just mentioned Draymond and everything, because I believe they're the 7 seed in this thing, and Houston's the 2 seed, and they're the wily veterans that are up 3-1 because again, they know how to kind of hip check you when you're boxing out so you don't jump, step on your foot, fake a foul as you just said.
Everything you described. Playoff Jimmy is back. He's scoring points again.
That guy. By the way, me and Mama Thorne are all because I had to watch the Heat prove last night we're not good enough to compete for a championship, and we're not bad enough to go to the lottery and get a good pick to start a rebuild.
They're getting smoked.
Well, no, they got smoked.
It's done, right?
It's done. That was a sweep. That was a 4-0.
Good for them and all.
If you had the Cavs and -8, you felt really good very early. All right, you pocketed the money very, very early. But that was the NBA last night. The Cavs absolutely demolished the Heat by 55 or something. 138-83 was the final. I mean, that was just a beating of epic proportions. And then the Warriors last night, 109-106, a really good game, a fantastic game there. And you mentioned it, playoff Jimmy Jimmy Butler, 27 points last night, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. By the way, we talked about free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, credit where credit's due, 12 of 12. And, Draymond Green was being Draymond Green to the fullest.
Maximum Draymond.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's got it figured out. NHL last night, not a great night. Lightning Panthers was really good for 2 periods. Panthers scored 3 goals there in the third. They go up 3-1 on the Lightning, and then Stars Avalanche was a blowout. Dallas takes that one 6-2. So one of the I want to say rare nights, but one of the nights that the NHL didn't really deliver. 4 games tonight in the NHL that'll make it a lot of fun, and one of those is actually both of them have been really good. But Devils Hurricanes, what I've officially adopted. I hate to tell you this because this is going to sound a little sad, but the way I think I've officially adopted teams is I buy one of those flags that goes like in your garden.
Okay.
Like one of those. I feel like when I buy the flag,
That makes you a fan?
I've taken it a step one too far.
That's fair.
So I've got a Braves flag and a Gamecocks flag for the outside area. 803-404-6100. Other than that, Preston, pretty quiet day yesterday.
Yeah.
Kind of nice. The draft, everything, we kind of moved past it. If you wanted to get into ESPN and all that, the Shedeur Sanders news was still raging yesterday. But other than that, pretty nice, relaxed day.
Yeah, draft recap and looking at who won, who didn't win, all of those types of things. And so now we're starting to move on to the next phase. What is it? May 14th when the schedule release comes out. So the NFL just keeps moving us forward. But yeah, the draft has settled, and we'll be moving on to the next phase.
Yeah, so we'll see. There was a very odd, interesting note yesterday regarding basketball, and this is just where we are kind of at in terms of news in the cycle. Did you see the latest, largest GM? Who is going to become a GM? Because this was in the news yesterday. Did you see this news?
I did.
Shaquille O'Neal becoming a men's basketball general manager for Sacramento State.
Mm-hmm.
Unpaid voluntary role for Shaquille O'Neal, whose son Shakur plays for Sacramento State this is actually all very interesting, under Mike Bibby, who I loved as a point guard when he was at Arizona, and then he had a long run with the Sacramento Kings there with him and Chris Webber. But he becomes another high-profile athlete to accept a general manager role with a school.
Well, this is a growing trend of things that are happening. We'll see how this works out, but because essentially the GM has been what it looks like it's turning into is somebody who can foot the bill.
Okay.
Right? Trae Young at Oklahoma, please pay us.
Yeah.
Shaq, your son's coming here, please give us money. Right?
Sacramento State could use it. I would imagine.
And Sacramento State is really, really an interesting case because they're trying to be like one of the next UCF. They're trying to move themselves forward as far as advancing who they are as a brand and as a school. And so they're really trying to take some steps forward. You're looking at them in basketball, looking at them in football. They're really trying to do some things. But the GM position, what does Shaq know about roster management? He doesn't know anything about roster management. This is
a guy who's looking around going, the TNT thing we're not gonna do this anyway. Okay, what else can I do?
Well, yeah, what else can I do? I'm already advertising 100 products. So let me get this. I'm a DJ. I'm an announcer.
Car insurance, pizza, whatever it takes.
Let me do something else. He won't have a very active role in this. But yeah, the GM position in college sports is really interesting how it's playing out. Steph Curry at Davidson, give us some money.
Yeah.
That's all this is turning into.
So that was maybe the extent of the news yesterday, and a nice, quiet post-NFL draft day. We'll get into a little bit more. It is Transfer Portal Tuesday, Preston Thorne, where the Gamecocks have been quite active in the transfer portal. We got an official visit. I don't know if it's official. I don't know how it works. We'll discuss this. Visitor on campus yesterday for defensive line depth. We'll talk about that a little bit. Get back into the Malaysia Fulwali news. Basketball picked up a transfer that we didn't mention yesterday over the weekend. Maybe a starter because
somebody has to start.
5 dudes do have to start.
Yeah,
that's kind of the way it works.
All I've been hearing is he's a depth piece. He's a depth piece. So somebody's got to start eventually, right?
Depth pieces can start too.
Okay.
It's not what you want, but we'll get into all of that. Transfer Portal Tuesday. Also talk a little baseball this hour. J.C. Sherbert due up in the 7 o'clock hour with the BigSpur.com. So a lot to get to, a lot to do. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for Love Chevrolet, where the deals are in full bloom. That's right. Right now, you can still get out to Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, and check out the exclusive specials on Suburbans, Tahoes, Silverados, the entire lineup of award-winning Chevys on the lot right now, and they are ready to be looked at. So get out to Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, where their springtacular savings are in full bloom. Trust me, with 14 acres of brand new Chevys and the incredible sales staff. That's the thing I love about Love Chevrolet is that sales staff. So friendly, so knowledgeable, so ready to help you check out all those great products. You have to get out there today. And don't forget about the $1,000 low price guarantee, which means you can shop other dealerships, take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they will top it. That's right. They'll top it, or they'll write you a check for $1,000. So get out to Love Chevrolet today, and together, let's drive.
Not seeing any accidents out there this morning. We are encountering some slowdowns there before exit 110 on I-26 westbound. Looks like it's due to maybe some construction there. So down to one lane and a little bit slow as you're, again, headed I-26 westbound. As far as your forecast goes, going to be more summer-like temperatures for the next few days. 84 today, 87 tomorrow and Thursday, 86 on Friday. Maybe a couple storms popping in on Saturday, and then things will clear up for the remainder of the weekend. Right now, 57 on 107.5 The Game.
6:16 on a transfer portal Tuesday. Hope you're getting up and getting going this morning as we roll along. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen here up and Adam. A transfer portal Tuesday, as I said, Preston Thorne, and Gamecock basketball continues to try and work the transfer portal, as yesterday landing a commitment from High Point basketball player, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Abu Yarma is a 6'7", 175-pound wing player, averaged 7 points per game and 6 rebounds, played with Eli Ellis for the Young Dreamers for Overtime Elite.
I have no idea what's going on in basketball. I'm reading the stories. There's prep schools, there's Overtime Elites, there's high schools. Where's he from?
Yeah, and by the way, and I should say he was originally committed to High Point. I don't know if this is technically he wasn't in school, so I guess it's not a transfer, is what I should say. I don't know the exact details on whether he had not signed and elected to then change, because there is technically a signing period going on right now that nobody knows about because there's transfer portal. But he was committed to High Point and will now sign with South Carolina. He is going to be listed as a freshman. He is in the 2025 class, but he is originally, to answer your question, from Roanoke, Virginia, and has been playing with Eli Ellis at, I don't know, wherever.
Well, exactly. Well, I'm going to plant my flag in the ground here. I saw the eye emojis rolled up on my timeline from Eli Ellis, and I'm going to go ahead and say it here. I don't like when the players are the head of the recruiting class. I don't like it. It's not proven to be successful. We're going to talk about our guy, Dante Reno, who is making his way up the road to Boone, in which I believe he might have just opened the portal. He opened the portal wide, and the rest of the Gamecocks have got sucked up to Boone. But I don't like it. It's a red flag for me. We'll see how this works out. We'll see what happens. But I don't like it.
Understandable.
Not a fan.
And if you don't know the exact story on this, Preston can relate. Has a personal experience. There was a player in your recruiting class.
Yeah. It was started then, but I've just seen it over time that when the person anoints themselves, exactly. I forgot about that. The person anoints themselves as the head of the recruiting class, and you see them all out on social, and they're ahead of the game, and they're talking about how great it is. We don't need that, man. Let's just come in and play basketball. So we'll see. But I will say, my spidey senses are going off.
Okay. But yesterday, and he becomes another player. So South Carolina, by the way, added a player on Friday, Norden Kapik, I believe is how you say it. Can we just get Josh Smith or Ted Smith or
No,
it's not possible. But they added another player over the weekend on Friday, another forward, a 6'8", 245-pound forward from the West Coast there that comes in and joins South Carolina. But Preston, at this point, you're trying to figure out your roster for this basketball season, and we have to be honest about this. You've had 2 really bad seasons, epically bad seasons, 1 epically great season, set the record for most wins in regular season program history. This is a massive season for Lamont Paris, and right now this is 5. He's got 5 true freshmen and still working to build this roster out.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge season, and obviously he knows how big a season this is, and so him and his staff are working to put together a squad. We'll see how it turns out. A lot of these guys we are not familiar with. It felt like the transfer portal class took a blow when my guy that was coming from North Carolina, North Dakota State, when he decided, did we find out where?
West Virginia.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about his name anymore. He's not playing for us. So. He'll just be my guy from North Dakota State that was once in with us. So we'll see. That seems like that was a big blow, and they've been recovering since. They are going to have to put together a better roster, and they're not going to have the opportunity to complain about not having the time or the resources to put together that roster. So it's on them. We'll see.
One of the things that's interesting, I always find interesting, is the coaches and how you address your recruiting class, because one of the things that's being said is every player that they have committed fits who they are.
Okay.
Take that for what it's worth. This program, look, again, expectations. I don't know what fair expectations are going to be for this basketball program. And the reason I say that is because, like with baseball and what we're dealing with for that, and they're going to have to hit the transfer portal hard, really, really hard in the offseason. But with baseball, you looked at the history of the program, right? and this is kind of what we talked about, and I think this is where we got a little sucked in and maybe we bought into some stuff because the pundits, the analysts went 14 out of 16. Yeah, 14. And me in particular, I don't want to speak for you, but me in particular was like, yeah, I don't know if I buy that. They went to a regional last year, super regional 2 years ago. I looked at the history of the baseball program and was like, generally speaking, although you pointed out yesterday, what'd you say? 7 out of 10 years, 6 out of 10? Losing SEC record. Maybe my mind is stuck in a different place.
Nostalgia's a hell of a drug.
but I looked at baseball. I was like, yeah, no, I'll side with history and what I know. Basketball, yeah, the history's. I've seen 4 NCAA tournament victories in my lifetime, and they all came in the span of 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. What a time.
So I say that because, like, when I look at when I have my expectation for the basketball program next year and say, oh, Lamont Paris has to do this or Lamont Paris has to do that or this team, it's not a good expectation because history does not suggest that they're going to do it.
History doesn't suggest that, but Lamont's contract extension suggests that there's strong expectations on that. So it doesn't matter what the history has been. What matters is how much he's getting paid and what that equates to his expectations now. And it can't be whatever it was last season. What was it, 1 and 2 and how many games did they win in the SEC?
3 and 4. 3 and 15.
They got to 3? Okay, that's not.
We've blocked it out, Preston. We've blocked it out. That was a month ago, a month and a half ago.
I don't know what the expectation is, but that's unacceptable.
Yeah, and we'll continue to monitor this. There's still some spots to be filled on this basketball roster, but right now, my personal opinion, boy, I hope they fit who you believe you are because the numbers, the metrics coming in did not suggest an immediate upgrade, but we'll see what happens. You mentioned Dante Reno, Transfer Portal Tuesday. Dante Reno looking at Dow Loggins like, yeah, I like you. You're a good guy. You a quarterback coach.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how that works. I think both of them are looking like, I need a quarterback. I need a place to play. What do you say? How do we look up? Because I'm sure Dow Loggins was not paying Dante Reno as much attention last year when he was coaching Lenoris. He was like, Lenoris.
Oh, I remember you. You were on the roster too. Yeah, come on up.
Exactly. I must confess, I apparently did not know that there was a Ronnie Porter and a Rondarius Porter.
Rondarius, I was aware of.
Did not know there were two. I've seen these names. I just thought there were 2 versions of the same name. I thought it was 2 people, but apparently both of them are going to App State along with Emory Floyd. Completing that. So there seems to be a portable, and that happens all the time. That happened back when Coach Pugh was here, when he went to South Carolina State. A lot of guys go with him. Coaches are familiar with you. They've seen you at practice. You're familiar with the coaches. You think it's going to be a soft landing spot. That tends to be how that goes. We'll see what happens with that.
No, I said it yesterday. Coastal. Well, we're good friends with Chance Miller. We plan to, I think, be down there on Thursday night this coming year for free concessions. Preston Thorne, we're going to try and figure out a way to do the show from down there October the 30th when Coastal has their Thursday night game. They've actually developed a neat little rivalry. To me, it's a rivalry. I don't know if the people at Coastal would say that, but they've developed a neat little rivalry with Appalachian State. That's always been a fun game. Typically, it's been a midweek game the last few years when these two teams have faced off. So I am adopting Coastal as kind of my second team, if you will. But I got to admit, when you say something like, I'm pulling for, let me see Dante Reno go to App State so that way I can follow his career a little bit closer than, let's say, if he went back to where his dad coaches at Yale or somewhere up in the Northeast.
Yeah, there's interesting connections. There are reasons to follow that. We've obviously, App State hasn't been very good to us recently, so maybe this will be a nice way for us to ingratiate ourselves in the Mountaineer culture now.
Yeah,
it's been bad.
And I'll pull up their schedule here in just a minute. But that 30th game, Thursday night, that again we're going to work with Mr. Miller and the athletic director down there. We're going to plan to be down there for that for free concessions and all the hot dogs we can eat. But
12 is the number.
12 is the number you're shooting for.
I'm not going to do that, because I'll be out. But
you won't make it to the show the next morning?
I don't think so.
You just leave you in the press box.
Yeah.
They actually, Coastal, by the way, plays at Boone coming up October 18th up there. And App State, for the record, Preston, they open with Charlotte, Lindenwood, didn't know that was a thing, Southern Miss. App State goes to Boise this year. App State goes to Oregon State this year. How about that? Oregon State actually comes to Boone as I look at their schedule, but it'll be interesting to see Dow Loggins and you hope with Dante Reno.
We'll see. Whoever the quarterback was at App State is not hoping that. Right?
He's looking at redshirt freshman. I got this guy.
We'll see.
Or do you tell yourself, he's a young guy. They're bringing him in for the future.
I don't know how it works, but there was always this idea of like, ooh, he's coming in from South Carolina. He's coming in from the SEC. And so there's always that. Dante's coming in with a little bit of a step ahead of everybody else because he's coming in from the big dogs.
So then how do you look at a guy like Troy Pikes, a guy that visited South Carolina, defensive tackle, visited South Carolina yesterday? He's coming from Georgia Southern. And he's already visited Georgia and says he's visited Ohio State. South Carolina looking to add defensive tackle depth because of what we talked about, the big fellows in the interior. When that battery gets low, hard to charge it back up. And South Carolina was really good last year. Think about this. The key contributors on the defensive line for South Carolina mostly got drafted. Alex Huntley did not. But T.J. Sanders, obviously, Tonka Hemingway, Kyle Kennard, Dylan Stewart's going to be drafted in the near future. Most of that defensive line got drafted, but you had depth there, even with Rondarius Porter coming in and being able to provide a few snaps.
Yeah, I hear everybody. And yes, they did have people there. But, again, they had dudes that got drafted.
Right.
That is a high level of play that is going to be very difficult for them to replace this year.
803-404-6100. But, yeah, Troy Pikes, originally from Georgia Southern, has 3 years left to play, 6'3", about 300 pounds, has visited Georgia, has visited Ohio State. Gamecocks hosted him yesterday on a visit, and we mentioned it, though. One of the things about him, I think it's there's another player that they brought in from Bowling Green that went through spring practice, so we never heard his name mentioned ever. But you've got to add some bodies to that position. As you said, maybe it's not more than 10 snaps a game, but it's 10 snaps to give the big fellas, the other big fellas, the starters, a rest.
Yeah, they're gonna need to figure out who the players are. And I do believe that this competition is still open because nobody solidified themselves as the person to take those jobs. So I think there's probably still an open competition at those positions.
803-404-6100. We will come back. Get into a little baseball. Baseball tonight, again, taking on Charleston Southern.
Let's go. 20-0, baby.
20-0. Go to 21-0.
That's right.
There you go. And
we can get a midweek.
We'll tell you what Preston's talking about. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions, where they are the absolute best in the pool maintaining business. That's right. And with summer basically here, warmer weather now, you want to use your backyard pool, but you need it maintained properly. And with Corley Pool Solutions, they believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. So give them a phone call, 803-445-8109. Again, that's 803-445-8109. It is more affordable for you to contact Tracy Corley and his team, who have 20-plus years of experience in the pool maintaining business, than it is for you to try and do this yourself. Trust me, you don't want to be maintaining your pool. That's too much work. That's too much effort. Use the professionals, the absolute best. If you've got a pool in the Midlands, you know all about it. You've been probably using Corley Pool Solutions, but if you haven't, it's time for you to give them a phone call. 803-445-8109. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Still no accidents to report. Good news there, but we do have that slowdown I-26 westbound around exit 110. I think some road construction in that area. So down to one lane, you're going to need to stay left. So hopefully that'll get cleared up as the early morning commute continues on. But forecast-wise, nothing to complain about. 84 today, 87 tomorrow and Thursday. Right now, it's not too bad either. 57 on 107.5 The Game.
.35 on a Tuesday morning, April the 29th, as we get you up and get you going here. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. You want me to start with the positive? Just be a little positive for a second before we get to the negative.
Big game tonight.
Braves won.
Oh, yeah,
Braves won last night.
Chop Talk coming on Thursday. Hey, we said it's a long season.
Look out.
Things are turning.
I don't want to take full credit.
Things are turning.
Actually, yeah, I do. I want to take full credit. Since purchasing my little Braves, I was telling you about the Carolina Hurricanes. Since purchasing my Braves garden flag, Braves are 8-3. Or since I should say since it arrived.
Things are turning.
8-3 since that flag arrived at the Gunner household. And they won last night 6-3. They've now won. They've literally going back to Friday, April the 18th, which is a few days after the flag coming. But they are 8-2 in their last 10. So there's the positive. South Carolina baseball. Then there's that. Not the positive. And Paul Maneri talking yesterday on the postgame show with old Mr. Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell says he's not in a good place after the Kentucky series.
Well, we're not really in a great position, are we? It's been just a season of close calls in so many ways, and then every so often we just have a bad game. And the first game out there, was a good ball game. I think it was tied through 4 or 5 innings, and then the batter hits a chopper in the infield, and the runner was trying to steal third at the time, and our outstanding third baseman, Scobie, who rarely makes an errant throw to first, just slightly pulled Hollins off the base, and the guy scored all the way from second base and they take the lead, and they just kind of methodically added one here, one there, and we fought back a little bit, but first game was close, and then we turned around. It was a long day because it got rained out the first day, so now we got the second 9-inning game of the day, and another really good ball game, very close, contested game, and we were down a run, and Will Tippett steps up and hits a 2-run homer for us in the top of the 8th inning, and Ashton Crowther was really phenomenal coming out of the bullpen, 8 up, 8 down, and saved the game there at the end, and it was a nice win. So we had a chance, to win the series yesterday, and I think we just kind of saved our worst defensive performance of the year for this one day. It was a very winnable game. We just had tough time catching the ball and handling the ball yesterday. It was very uncharacteristic of our team. We've had our hitting struggles and we've had our pitching struggles, but our defense has been really good all year. I think going into the game, we had the 3rd highest fielding percentage in the conference, and the other 2 schools were just like 1 percentage point ahead of us. And we just had one of those days.
Yeah, Preston, I watched the Sunday game in particular, and to call it one of those, there was a pickoff attempt at second base that went into center field. Runner went to third. The throw from center field to third base got by him and went to the dugout. Runner went home. There was a bloop hit that literally South Carolina had the infield in. If they'd have been back in their typical spots, it would have been an easy out. Look, there was plenty of mistakes that were created by South Carolina. You just heard him talking about the KJ Scobie error, but it's just the thing about Ray Tanner. And you tell me, because you've played college ball and you've played for coaches, great coaches. Some coaches just have a way of pushing a button and it works, and they look like geniuses. And some coaches have a way of pushing buttons and it just backfires or blows up in your face.
Yeah, that could be a thing. Some people would say that, you circle back to talent and somehow you just, I just pushed the button when Drew Meyer was up there hitting. Well, did you? Or did you just have the second best, number 2 draft pick? I don't know. There's a lot to be said for that. What I will say is about that is that the thing about it just being one of those days is that one of these days keeps happening over and over and over. It's not just one of these days. This is what it is. This is the rule. It's not the exception. This is what we've seen all season. And so you can't say like, it just happened to pick, because this was the worst defensive performance only before a previous worst defensive performance. So it's not as if they've just not. These things have been happening all year, and they're just not a good team. And I think that goes to where the team is. And again, there is still life, though very little, but they're not mathematically eliminated yet. And I'm going to wait to make my proclamation until they are. But boy, let me tell you.
Tune in Monday.
We're loading. we are loading. We got some time, and we don't need to rush because we got plenty of time. But I'll just say this. We're not who we think we are. And maybe we haven't been for a long time.
I think that's fair when you say maybe for a long time. Now, I agree with you, but this is still a program that has been making postseason baseball by and large. We do know that, under the Mark Kingston regime, there was 2 particular years that were really bad and didn't make it. But you do wonder if Mark Kingston isn't like sitting out there in Creighton looking back like, I remember I was in a super regional 2 years ago. I was in a regional last year. You guys were, and we talked about the disconnect between what Kingston, I think, thought was good and what South Carolina fans thought was acceptable. And that was, I think that's the right wording. What Kingston thought was good and what South Carolina fans thought was acceptable. And there seemed to be a disconnect, and it seemed like that was bridged with Paul Mainieri. This though, and look, he's going to get a year 2, I assume. And I would assume I base that on him wanting to do it, right? He's not.
A fair question.
Jeremiah Donati is not. I do not foresee any situation in which he is actually fired. But at 67 years of age, you wonder, like, does he look around and be like, man, we got to do a little bit more here? Is the fire in him to really get it going?
Did he know what he was getting?
No, he's admitted that.
Okay, so he did not know what the team looked like before he got here.
No, he didn't. He's admitted he did not know that the league. I'm sorry. I see what you're talking about with the team.
Mm-hmm.
He did not know. He has been on record as saying he did not know the SEC had taken this many steps forward.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, for the record, I was talking with somebody about this yesterday. I don't know how we quantify this. This might be the best year ever for the SEC in athletics. Like football, I know didn't win a national championship, but you look at what football was as a whole. You look at obviously what basketball was as a whole. Baseball is on another level. Softball is on another level. Like, I don't know. Somebody asked me this the other day, and I don't know how to quantify it. The SEC this year in sports is on another level.
Jen, I'll say this. You're a realtor, right?
Yeah.
Ray Tanner sold Paul Mainieri a house with good bones.
Okay, fair.
And he walked in. Thought, oh, yeah, it's good bones. It's well built. Look at this. Look at the crowd molding up there. And then Paul Mainieri had to go open up some walls.
Did he stage it?
Upgrades.
Was it staged?
It was
exactly.
It was staged through a beautiful furniture.
3D staging. It was perfect. And now he's opening there. He's opening up some walls. And it's going to be more work than he thought.
I gotcha. Gonna have to flip it.
He's going to have to flip it. Might not be able to live in this one for a while. He's going to have to flip this one. So it's good bones, man. It's going to be great. Classic architecture.
803.
I don't know, man.
803-404-6100. Now you can weigh in. You're listening to the early game.
That's the philosophy. Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
Go ahead.
Who, buddy? Okay, well, listen, we told you we tried to stay away from it. If you're not familiar, that is Chapel Bill Belichick, being sternly redressed by his girlfriend / PR / as somebody said, momager.
Momager.
That was a great word.
Yeah.
But TMZ has done further reporting. And if you can ever count on a news outlet to do reporting, it's TMZ. If you want to find some accurate reporting, especially of this ilk, TMZ has done further reporting. TMZ has reported that not only did she interrupt at that one moment, that there were several instances during this broadcast when Jordan interrupted the broadcast to either tell Bill to not answer or to stop his answer. And furthermore, Jordan then stormed out of the taping of this broadcast, in which the taping of the broadcast was delayed for 30 minutes until she came back. And this is reporting by TMZ. I'm telling you, if TMZ reports on this type of reporting, you can take it to the bank. All right? So this was a part of the conversation. And again, this CBS interview was not meant to be scandalous. It's CBS Sunday. It's supposed
That's
to be
about a book.
It's supposed to be a soft puff piece. It's supposed to be hole in the shirt.
Yeah.
But here's the other bigger point about it being distressed. It's distressed in the collar, but then if you look at the screen printing of Navy, brand new. So my guess is that Jordan told him, "Hey, you want to distress the collar a little bit so it looks like old school Bill Belichick." So he did that because he's just taking orders. Furthermore, Jordan is wearing the sweatshirt in the style like 24-year-olds do, where you don't know if she has on anything underneath it. All you just see is sweatshirt, where if Bill's daughter was wearing that, he would tell her to put something on. Put something on. Very, very strange. But my question, 803-404-6100. What's our mileage on dressing like your partner? What's our mileage on that?
Christmas card.
Do y'all do it? Is it for special occasions? Are you the couple that dresses together all the time?
Okay, define dressing like because I've never done, to my knowledge.
This is the question. 803-404-6100. What's your mileage? Do you dress the same? Do you coordinate? What's going on here? I'm just curious what people's, is it only for special occasions like Christmas cards?
And that's pajamas,
curious.
right?
Or you could wear, like everybody wears, like a white shirt and jeans out on the beach,
okay.
or something like that.
Yeah.
But
I'm just curious.
That's all I'm asking.
I'm just curious. What you got?
It's okay to coordinate, if you're going out to an event or something, but to wear the same thing,
It's a little too far.
not a fan.
See, because I coordinated we were talking about getting dressed up. We dressed up as like a 1920s gangster
Or
for that.
costume party.
And a costume party
It
makes
was
sense.
like, yeah, it was kind of like that. That we did that.
There's a theme.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago. But there was a thing, yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't say, when you say dress up alike, I think of what either the pajama Christmas cards that I see, or what Jen says, like the summertime where you have family photos on the beach where everybody's wearing. But when you say dress up alike, hey, we're going to dinner tonight. What are you wearing? Oh, I'm wearing a blue suit. Okay, I'll wear a blue dress. Or, like you get the point. All right.
But not the same sweatshirt. That kind of a thing. No.
803-404-6100. Same sweatshirt. Yes or no?
Yeah. Or what it
yes or no?
like the same sweatshirt. Like, what is it? Make sure I say the right one and not the wrong one. But like, I'm with stupid, and somebody like the next person has like, I'm stupid or whatever.
That's kind of what they had on basically. I don't know who was pointing at. If they were wearing a shirt that said "I'm with stupid," I wonder who would be pointing at which.
Who's wearing the "I'm stupid" shirt? Bill Belichick.
I don't know.
It's amazing. He's managed to survive a very long career. He's been able to do all kinds of things and interviews and all of that. Why is he incapable of that now? I'm telling you, she's spiking his drink. I think
We're a family morning show. Will not go down the path that you just brought up.
Dateline.
I will just leave it to the imagination.
I love Dateline. Maybe we're gonna see an episode soon. 48 hours.
Seriously. That's really what I mean. I'm just really, I'm truly concerned about him because business entities, she's all over. We talked about the email stuff. Something just smells bad in Denmark.
Family show.
404-6100. Sweatshirts, matching sweatshirts. Yes or no? I just need to. I'm just curious. What's our mileage on this thing? Because they're moving like a unit, and I don't know what the if I was a UNC fan, I'd be worried. Mm-hmm. This has 2 and 10.
She's going to be out there coaching.
Labor Day, not yet. Headset on with a.
Yep. Bill, you can do this.
Hey,
when she reaches back and pushes him back.
Uh-huh.
J.C. Sherbert up next. Bill Gunner for Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Now, I've told you all about the carpet and air duct cleaner, the carpet cleaning with their patented ZR water technology, how that will help your home, what it can do for you. But you also need to know about their air duct cleaning. That's right. Are you aware of the dust and allergens that are potentially in your air ducts, especially right now, coming off of pollen season? Well, guess what? Zerorez, with their patented cleaning methodology, is ready to help you. Just give them a phone call today and let the Zerorez pros come in and get the dust, the pollen, and the allergens out. That's right. Mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get $50 off your next air duct cleaning. You heard that right. $50 off. Just mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game. You can give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or you can schedule online, ZerorezColumbia.com. Use the promo code AIR50. Zerorez. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
And looking pretty good out there this morning out on the highways. No accidents to report. And we're not seeing any, just some scattered construction that you've been experiencing for a while now. But aside from that, things looking pretty good. And we welcome that for sure. And your forecast, that's looking pretty good as well. Feeling more summer-like. 84 for the high today, 87 Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, 86. Might see some storms coming in for Saturday. 57 right now at 107.5 The Game.
7 a.m., where Preston Thorne has asked you the question. Do you and your significant other dress alike? KT from Lexington goes with no. Another texter says, anytime me and my fiance go out, we always color coordinate.
Okay.
Power couple.
Power couple. Okay. Those two are together. I like it.
Jason goes with never unless theme parties, but that's it. Jacob in Lexington has the best answer. If my wife wore t-shirts and sweatpants like I do, we would have a problem.
Well, I mean, Jordan did make it her own. They didn't wear it the same style. I'm not quite sure Bill Belichick wearing his sweatshirt the same way Jordan wore hers would be a good look. But, yeah.
Ray weighs in, says, we only dress alike on special occasions, and the wife defines what the special occasions are.
I understand. Understood. Claro. I'm Claro on that.
So there you go. 803-404-6100 if you want to text in this morning as we get you up and get you going. Joined now by the one and only BigSpur.com. J.C. Sherbert.
Newlywed.
Yeah, 2 year. What is it, about 16, 18 months? I think y'all been together a little bit longer. Do you and the wife, when y'all go out on special occasions or ever, do y'all dress alike?
No. We did it one time. We kind of changed that. We had it was just like a casual thing. We had the same team sweatshirt on, unless it's the Gamecocks, and we're going to watching the Gamecocks.
Yeah, that's
But like if we just roll, because she collects college sweatshirts. She had, and I say that in the past tense, a Clemson sweatshirt before she met me.
There you go.
When she came to Greenville, she got one. I don't know where that thing's at now, but anyway, but yeah, she collects those like everywhere she goes. So it's but one time I think we both had South Dakota State or Notre Dame on, and we had to change that pretty quick.
Maybe we just cracked the code. Maybe Jordan just collects sweatshirts, and so she just went into her collection and she had 2 random navy sweatshirts, and she had one that happened to be in Bill's size, one that happened to be in her size, and they just wore them. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, because she and he are so close in size.
Oversized. This is oversized.
Maybe she was wearing his sized sweatshirt. Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah.
So, we're discussing the Bill Belichick, or we were discussing the Bill Belichick interview. Did you catch this? Did you have thoughts on Bill Belichick and this sweatshirt, or the whole situation? That we get morning show, family show. Reminder: 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock is our true family hour. That's why we have you on. But
it's on the list of things I don't care about, which is growing by the day. But I'll just say this. If I'm going to be Bill Belichick and I want a mom, I don't think I'm going to go for a 24-year-old. So I don't know what the thought process was there, but except for this, I do not think Bill Belichick gives one flip about any of the interview stuff, marketing stuff, whatever. I think he just wants to coach ball and be left alone. And I think it's like, okay, you go handle it. You understand it, whatever. And so that does create for some awkward moments, but I honestly don't think he cares. He's just like, we're on the practice.
Let's actually talk sports for a second then. All right, your opinion. How does he do at North Carolina this year and moving forward? How does this work?
I don't know. I think it's fascinating. I think he can coach. Football's football, but the structure of that program, Lombardi, his GM. I think a lot of times, as we saw with the draft, and we always see with the amount of awful players they draft every year, there's a lot of arrogance at that level of football, and so you can't come back to college and be complex and all that good stuff, because it doesn't matter about the NIL money, or it doesn't matter what you say and what you want to label it. These are still college kids. This is still on-the-job training. and you can really overcoach them and get yourself in a situation where you have a football team that may be a 7-8 win football team, but they win 3 because they're just constantly confused and you don't play the right players and all that good stuff. So, those are my questions with it. So I think that we'll find out because, it's an opening game, but it's kind of cool they're playing TCU because Sonny Dykes is definitely a career college coach. I don't ever see him in the NFL. So, that's kind of going to be a contrast in approaches. That opener on Labor Day night in Chapel Hill.
J.C. Shurburtt joining us this morning from thebigspur.com. We'll get into the NFL draft and a little bit of defense with him. Real quick, opening weekend. Let's stay on college football for a second. Have you two seen the J.C., sounds like you already know. Have y'all seen the opening weekend slate for college football? Yeah. We got – this is a strong opening weekend. You got Texas, Ohio State. You've got – I know that you lose a little bit here with what occurred last year, but Florida State, Alabama. You got Clemson, LSU. JC, this is probably going to be, our countdown, that's August 30th. South Carolina plays August 31st. But this is almost as strong as an opening day, if you will, in college football as we've had in a long time.
Yeah, it's better. It used to, we had like a good little run there for a while where opening weekend was full of big-time matchups, and then it kind of, they try to shovel us everything leads back to how bad the ACC is, really, because the ACC took over that Monday night, and we used to get good matchups, and then all of a sudden, it's Duke and Boston College's turn, and you're like, oh, my God. The neutral site games, Alabama kind of got away from those a little bit. So I think this is kind of a return to some. Clemson, LSU, Texas, Ohio State. That's definitely 2 big ranked matchups. And then on Friday too, Bill, you got Auburn and Baylor and Georgia Tech and Colorado. So even before Saturday, it gets better. We really haven't had very many good Thursday, Friday type games either lately. So kudos to college football for giving the fans a smorgasbord of action the first weekend of the season.
No, for those that are not aware, obviously that Saturday, August the 23rd is week 0, whatever, and you get Stanford and Hawaii. We're punishing the great folks of Ireland by sending over Kansas State and Iowa State for a 9-6 field goal fest over in Ireland. Fresno State, Kansas, and Sam Houston in Western Kentucky. The only disappointment I really have with opening weekend is that Thursday night where you used to typically get a pretty good game. You don't have a game that really jumps out. Maybe Nebraska, Cincinnati, if you want that. East Carolina, North Carolina State, just because of the brawl in the bowl game. Maybe jumps
they hate each other.
Yeah.
ECU and North Carolina State hate each other. And then Nebraska, Cincinnati's at Arrowhead Stadium too. So that's, I don't know that there's legions of traveling Bearcats that will be at that one, but it's Thursday stink. Week 0 is awful. I think, can you not talk? Just all I would ask is like 2 more games. Just 2 more good games. That's all. Okay, can we not find 4 teams to play that weekend? Can we not?
Because
why even have it?
We've had Florida State, Georgia Tech obviously produced a memorable result last year. You had a couple years ago, you had Miami and Florida, which was at least an entertaining game.
Notre Dame Navy was good.
Yeah.
Was a good matchup. Notre Dame beat them pretty good 2 years ago. Northwestern, Nebraska was a great game. That was the last I think we've heard of Ryan Hilinski. He tore it up in that one.
Wait. JC, that's the last you heard of Ryan Hilinski. We here on the early game followed the rest of his career. He was embroiled in a quarterback battle last year in which he did not come up to the top, but he was still battling for that second spot on QB2 on Northwestern.
Let me also just say this. If you had Ryan Hilinski being mentioned in both the first hour on this program today and the second hour, if you had that on your bingo card.
He was in the first hour, too?
You know what? I'm going to come back to actually something. It's not on my list of things to talk about, but Preston's got a new theory on guys that are the lead recruiter players that are the lead recruiter, and he's very wary of these guys like Helinski and Dante Reno. We'll come back to that coming up. But yeah, if you had Ryan Helinski, us mentioning the name Ryan Helinski in the first hour and the second hour, buy a lottery ticket today. It is your day.
I think Preston's on to something because I'm starting to think back. Gary Gray in the class of 07, Howard. What is he playing ball now? He was kind of I call it the Pied Piper recruit.
Oh, I like
it. And typically it's a quarterback, but yeah, dude, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
He's on to something. By the way, real quick, sneaky good game. Opening weekend, sneaky good game. Tennessee and the Fran Browns. Tennessee and Syracuse in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Okay. Well, we'll all be around for that, because it's the day before Carolina. There's a lot of orange in Atlanta that weekend with those two, and then Virginia Tech's maroon and orange as well. So a lot of orange in Atlanta that weekend.
Yeah, good point. 803-404-6100. We'll come back, get into the NFL draft with J.C. Shurburtt, get his thoughts on the 5 guys drafted, but also how that correlates to this year and what South Carolina will have to replace and do. We'll talk about that, and we will circle back to Preston's theory on the Pied Piper recruit. I like that. It's the Pied Piper recruit. Good call on that, J.C. Shurburtt. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Larry Leitner and the family have been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. So whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Aiken, Augusta, Charleston, Greenville, wherever you may be this morning, Mid-State Roofing is the leader, and they're ready to help you. You just got to give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, it's 803-356-1919. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing staff member. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing has someone ready to answer your phone call because let's be honest, if you've got a leak, that's something that you need to deal with, and you need to deal with it now. That's why Mid-State Roofing is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, off hours, you'll speak with an on-call technician. After or during hours, Mid-State Roofing staff member. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Kind of unusually quiet out there, but certainly not complaining at this point. We are looking at no accidents right now. Great news there. And as far as forecast goes, man, we're loving that. 84, that's going to be our high today. 87 tomorrow and Thursday. 86 on Friday before maybe we get some showers coming in, maybe a couple storms on Saturday. But right now it is 57 to start your morning on 107.5 The Game.
$7:19 as we get you going here on your Tuesday morning. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, and joined as always on a Tuesday by J.C. Sherbert, fresh off of the NFL draft. And I can tell you, nobody had it covered quite like J.C., Hill, and John Whittle. I don't think anybody put out any more content than y'all did. J.C. did a phenomenal job, but a great weekend for the Gamecocks. 5 players drafted, which actually I saw this, and I'll get y'all's opinion on it because this was very interesting, almost like a disappointment because all 5 guys went in the first, 4 rounds, I believe, and then nobody on day 3 when I think some people thought might. But your take on what you saw from the Gamecocks in the NFL draft?
Maybe that, just from the numbers wise, and I always like to crunch the numbers from the NFL draft. I kind of wish they'd have gotten the record. I mean, that would have been good for the program and a talking point. But, talking points aren't everything. I think having those 3 go within the top 50, I think I read that on the X, 24 of the top 50 picks were from 6 schools. One was South Carolina. The others were Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, and Georgia. So that's pretty good. And, good company to be in. The people that got drafted, I mean, Tonka and D. Knight and Kyle Kennard and, all those guys, they've really put a lot of hard work, and it's always good on a personal level to see, players that put in the work get drafted. And then, another thing is there were, 3 guys from South Carolina that got drafted, and 2 of them were 3-star players out of high school. So that shows you, again, the talent in the state's a little bit undervalued, and, the Gamecocks do a good job of developing those in-state players. So I think that overall it was a successful draft. And then, we've been saying this. Jamie Bradford mentioned it last week on his show. Shane Beamer now, in his first 4 drafts, has sent 17 guys to the pros. That's more than twice as many as Will Muschamp. That's 5 more than Steve Spurrier. That's about 10 more than Coach Holtz. You go all the way back, and you can't find a better first 4 drafts. And, and look, let's be honest, a lot of these guys Will Muschamp recruited.
Yeah.
But you can't. The process doesn't stop at recruiting. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of development and strength training and practice and teaching and all that goes into it. So while you do have to credit, I don't do it begrudgingly. I thought the previous staff left the roster in very good shape, especially compared to Steve Spurrier and his staff when he left. And so, that's part of it. But, also Beamer has to get them there. And so, he gets credit for everybody he coached, their final year or whatever. And 17 is a great number. It shows that there's talent in the program. It helps recruiting. and all that good stuff. And so, I think it's yet another talking point or another. I don't want to use data point because Ward Manuel poisoned me on that number during the playoff thing. But you look at it. How many wins? How many top 10 wins? How many ranked wins? All those are either equal to Steve Spurrier or better. The record is equal right now, essentially. More draft picks, better recruiting as far as numerically and stuff like that. So when you look at everything, you sort of evaluate a coaching tenure on. Oh, and by the way, twice as many wins over Clemson in his first 4 years as Coach Spurrier had. Beamer's pacing to do very, very well at the University of South Carolina, leading the football program. So, and he's done it during a time where the SEC's never been tougher, and you have a million different changes in college sports that you have to navigate. So, lesser people would definitely fail in that type of situation, but it looks like, according to the facts, he's thriving.
Preston, what do you make of what JC just said about player development? What you've seen, having been there, you went through the program, you saw player development in your time. How do you correlate what you saw with Charlie Strong and some of the coaches to what you're seeing today? Guys, as JC just said, TJ Sanders was a 3-star recruit. Again, not that we want to give him any credit, Will Muschamp did recruit TJ Sanders, which is crazy. But again,
that's the great part about being a coach. When you read the coaches' resumes, is they get to claim them on both ends. So even if they didn't develop them, they'd be like, oh, he recruited this guy. If they didn't recruit him, they'd be like, he developed them. And those are both equal parts of the equation, and they both work. They have to be. I will say this. No, I will say TJ Sanders, you better thank the Lord that Shane Beamer went and hired Travian Robinson.
Really?
Absolutely. I'm not sure if this happens with the previous defensive line coach. That's Preston saying that. It's not anybody else on this radio station saying that. But part of development is your position coach. Yeah. And that position, the position coach that TJ had now for his last 2 years, greatly encouraged his development.
You're absolutely, Preston. I mean, look across the board. I mean, that group heading into 2023, and really it took them about halfway through 2023 before Travian got him going.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was depth. That group was woefully inconsistent. Every year well, these guys were highly touted out of school, blah, blah, blah. TJ had the big game at Georgia and then disappeared for a while and, all that good stuff. He really did a good coaching job. And it took some time because it takes time sometimes when you have a new coach, as you know. But you hit the nail on the head there. And I'm not, there's nothing against Jimmy Lindsey or anything like that, but Travian is an elite developer of talent. He learned from Brad Lawing, the late Brad Lawing, who's one of the best ever to do it. So he definitely does a great job getting those guys ready.
Let me ask you this, because I've seen this mentioned a little bit on thebigspur.com with some posts there. What do you make of his? Because now we move to the future, and you just sent Tonka Hemingway to the pros, Kyle Kennard, which I know is more of a Sterling Lucas guy, but TJ Sanders. What do you make of Travian Robertson's recruiting right now? Because that is something we're seeing them now in the portal. You put something up about Troy Pikes yesterday, the defensive lineman from Georgia. But what do you make of Travian Robertson's recruiting at the defensive tackle position?
Look, these days in recruiting, coaches can only do so much. I mean, if everybody wants to get mad about Amari Adams going to Clemson, talk about how a coach is underperforming when he's sending guys to the NFL and coaching them up, then more power to it. I didn't see this kind of venom when Brad Lawing lost Carlos Dunlap. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous. I don't want to come down on the fans here. I think the narrative in and of itself is a little ridiculous, but at the same time, I freely admit it's hard right now to keep up with the how of everything. It used to be, well, this position's not good, so this and then I was dropping the ball in recruiting. And look, we've had some coaches that have dropped the ball in recruiting at their position, and it's obvious. But these days, with so much that goes into it, his first, keep in mind too, the first class where it seemed like everybody Carroll recruited went to Georgia at D tackle. He came in late. right? And so there's no relationship that he built there, and it takes time to do that. He's in on several guys at the high school ranks, especially a lot in North Carolina this cycle. I expect him to land some. And then, last year, Christian Ingram and Caleb Williams were both highly touted guys. I mean, that's the other part of it. And then the third part of it at tackle specifically, guys, the third and fourth. First of all, in 2022, they went 0 for 4. And if you go 0 for 4, you're going to have to go in the portal later. That's just how it goes. And then, the guys just all 4 of them didn't work out. And then the second part of it is the state, outside of Amari Adams and a guy here or there, hasn't had as many defensive tackles as there's normally about 1, 2, 3 a year. 3 is a really good year at D tackle in South Carolina. We just haven't seen it. So, we'll see how it goes going forward. But I think some of this recruiting thing, people is more fans trying to adjust to like new reality, expanded recruiting calendar, that kind of thing. And so I get it, but I think it's just you got to coach football, right? Let the guy coach football because he's doing a great job, and he's an alum and a Gamecock and all that. And I don't see him as anything but a valuable part of the program.
803-404-6100. We'll come back, get some final thoughts on the defensive stuff, but move to the offense, and we will get to the Pied Piper recruit. Preston will give his theory. Preston's got a story, JC, without naming names back in the day. He's got a reason. He's been there. He's seen it firsthand experience. We'll tell you about that and go into a little bit of the offensive side of the ball and specifically that quarterback room with JC Shurburtt. You're listening to the early game.
We do have a report of a vehicle on fire, I-77 northbound there at Forest Drive. That would be exit 12. The right exit ramp is currently closed, so we want to be mindful of that. Other than that, don't have any other accidents to report at this time. Do be careful out there, though, and we'll let you know that 84 is going to be the high today, 87 tomorrow and Thursday, 86 on Friday. But right now, 57 on 107.5 The Game.
Reminder, baseball tonight, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch against Charleston Southern over at Founders Park. And make sure you are signed up for the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. If a Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam, you could win all the cash in the pot. And the pot currently $325. Go to 1075thegame.com to get registered. Again, it's the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. And again, if a Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam, you can win all the cash in the pot. And that right now is $325. Go to 1075thegame.com and get yourself registered. Speaking of going into the web, or in this case, going into the transfer portal, JC Dante Reno enters the transfer portal over the weekend, takes a visit to Appalachian State with Dow Loggins, former quarterbacks coach. We've talked a little bit about that. I said maybe we got a budding pipeline from South Carolina to Appalachian State right now.
Well, I mean, Emory Floyd did sign with App, and there are others that visited up there that were from the transfer portal. But, yeah, I mean, if you think about Dowell Loggins and, you know, from Arkansas, Trey Knox and Rocket Sanders were guys he had previous relationships with. So, there is a track record there. And I'd say App State probably be a pretty good fit for him. The issue here there, heading into spring, I didn't think it was necessarily something that I would predict to happen, you know, because they were battling it out. You never know how these things are going to kind of turn out. But as spring went along, he kind of was behind the other guys, including Aaron Nolan, Luke Doty, and Cutter Woods, who's a true freshman. And so, you know, you think about that, and, you know, quarterbacks want to play. A quarterback leaving is not something that's out of the ordinary in college football these days. You can only play one at a time. And so he's heading to probably find some playing time. So he was a, good teammate and good part of the program while he was there. But certainly, wish him well wherever he goes.
What do you think his ceiling is? Real quick, let's just talk Dante Reno. Is App State a good fit there for him?
Yeah, I mean, so I think what stands out about Dante's is arm strength. He throws it with great velocity. You know, he's a guy that just has to develop. I mean, I thought at South Carolina, with how they were recruiting a quarterback, the best case for him long term, as spring went along, in my mind was kind of being like Dylan Thompson, a guy that, develops, gets in there third year as a backup and starts his senior year as a fifth-year guy. But he does have tools. And, these days, if you go to App State or a place in the Sun Belt and you light it up, you can go back to Power 4. I mean, it's happened all over the country. So, but I think he's a guy that just, has to develop. Didn't play the best competition in high school. I think that's part of it, but I mean, heck, it's just his second season. So, the best days definitely are ahead for he and about, 100 other quarterbacks across the country. But I think at South Carolina, it was more, Cutter, how not necessarily what Reno didn't do, but how good Cutter is, and then Aaron Noland has got definitely some skills, and they're both right there. They're both freshmen too, so usually you have three good freshman quarterbacks. One's going to probably leave, just based on the future. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, he goes to a Group of 5 school, something like that. Maybe gets playing time earlier than he would at the Power 4 level. The more you play, the better you get. I don't think we've heard the last of Dante Reno in college football.
You said two things that were very interesting there. You caught my attention twice in a matter of 30 seconds. First off, you talked about Dante Reno's arm strength, and it brought us to this evaluation that I read from the Cleveland Browns in their defense of picking Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel broke the velocity record at the Senior Bowl. You know whose record it was?
Spencer Rattler?
Come on, man. You know whose record it was. Arm velocity. Arm strength.
Jameis?
Tennessee.
Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, your guy, Joe Milton.
Joe Milton, man. Come on. He broke Joe Milton's record. Gabriel's velocity, Joe Milton's record was 62. Dillon Gabriel, 74 miles per hour.
Oh, dear Lord.
So he can throw the ball fast.
Comes out of his hand different.
Doesn't know where it's going, but it's going fast. And then second, JC, I'm going to have to walk you off the cliff you just walked out on. All respect to Dante Reno. Dante Reno will never be Dylan Thompson. Period. Dylan Thompson is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in the Garnet and Black. So all respect to Dante. Shout out. I don't know if there's many quarterbacks who will ever be Dylan Thompson. So I'm just going to need you to walk that statement back a little bit.
No. I agree with you. But
okay.
Did you see Dylan Thompson as a well? Heck, go. Did you see him against Vandy in 2012 when Honor got hurt?
Yeah, that was brutal.
That was awful. And then 11 games later, he's leading Carolina to victory against Clemson. That just shows you, number one, it shows you G.A. Mangus is a pretty good quarterbacks coach. Number two, it just shows you players get better at different times. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't. a Dylan Thompson type situation. Okay. I'll rephrase.
I will accept that.
I was not trying to. Dylan was a great, and he's from Spartanburg County, so obviously I'm biased toward Dylan Thompson, but he had. I mean, he has the record. He's best season in school history throwing the football, 3,500 yards. So.
JC, you and I were working together at that time. I was doing the recruiting, and I coached Dylan in AAU basketball. So I had a personal relationship with him and the family. But if you remember, there was an offensive lineman there, and I can't remember, redheaded guy who the offensive line, quote, had a nasty, plays with a mean streak, a nasty streak. And we thought that Dylan was the throw-in to get the offensive lineman, and the lineman went to Vanderbilt. And I can't remember. Do you happen to remember his name? I want to say maybe Logan or something. Does that ring a bell with you? We'd have to go look at. And the kid didn't make it at Vanderbilt. Talk about Pied Piper. He wasn't a Pied Piper, but the kid didn't make it. But we thought Dylan was the throw-in to get the offensive lineman to South Carolina back in the day. And Dylan ended up great in his own right and is doing incredible things now.
Hey, here's another one. Rondarius Porter. Now, this was disappointing, as Rondarius Porter was probably going to play at least 10 snaps a game this year. And D tackles, you don't want to lose D tackles, but he is also signed with App State and Dallawatts. I think he'll start there. I'm going to go out on a limb. Rondarius Porter will start for App State next season.
All right. That's good. I like that. 803-404-6100. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2 with J.C. Sherbert of thebigspur.com. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. If you have received one of those mean, nasty notices from the IRS, you or your business could be in some trouble. But guess what? The Ecton Law Firm is there to help you. That's why they right now suggest you give them a phone call, whether you're in Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Aiken, Augusta. The Ecton Law Firm is ready to help you and your family deal with the IRS. Nobody wants to deal with them alone. That's a maze you do not want to get into. But with the Ecton Law Firm and their proven local solutions, they can help you avoid trouble. But it starts with a consultation, a free consultation, and you need to give them a phone call today. 803-771-9800. You can also visit them on the web. That's ectonlawfirm.com, ECTON lawfirm.com. But call today. Get that free consultation and get the stress and worry out of your life if you're dealing with the IRS. 803-771-9800. $7:48 as we wrap up our number 2 here with J.C. Sherbert and rolling along, talking a lot of Gamecock football, even a little bit of Bill Belichick early on to start the play. Do you dress alike? Which J.C. said occasionally, but it was a different occasional. Dressing alike for football games or sporting events, and I say dressing alike, I don't think you still want to wear the same T-shirt, correct? Like you don't want the same, yeah. You might have Carolina gear on, your significant other might have Carolina gear, but not the same shirt or same sweatshirt.
Well, they had a big interview, and so they dressed similar for the big interview. Guess that's all I got for you.
We'll continue to monitor the situation. Preston, you had a situation with a Pied Piper recruit.
JC, this goes back to my time when I was being recruited, and it was a real simple situation. I've told the story a couple of times, but we were all getting recruited, and we were sitting in the stands at maybe, I forget, one of these games, and said recruit was really pounding his chest about how we were going to be the class that was coming in to change things, and this was going to be the new Carolina, and all of us were going to be the guys that were going to change things. And my mother looked at me, and she looked directly in the eye, and she said, that boy's not going to make it. And lo and behold, JC, that boy did not make it. He didn't make it to the season. He didn't make it to camp. He made it halfway through 2 days. And that's always stuck with me as the guys that are overzealous during the recruiting process. All of these people are being recruited, but some guys go overboard in either their outward shows of affection, their points of being the person of recruiting. And it just got me to thinking that, man, maybe this is something that we need to watch out for, because Dante Reno was that guy. There's several articles about how he was the guy recruiting everybody to bring him in. We talked about now Ryan Hilinski. And this is something that's happened. JC, what do you think about my budding theory here?
It's interesting because you do have, several instances. I'd have to go back. I mean, not every class has
That's correct.
a Pied Piper recruit, but you'd have to kind of go back in time. Chris Payne that year. That was the Alshon Jeffrey class.
Chris Payne.
Mm-hmm.
Still waiting on him to get in school.
From Columbia High.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned Gary Gray earlier. Pup Howard recently here was really involved. Dante Reno helped.
Pup Howard was on a local radio show and giving a whole interview about how he was so excited. I wonder what radio show that was.
Was it ours?
I don't know.
Was it?
Was it yours?
I think it was. I forget what we talked about yesterday, let alone, yeah.
Yeah, there's been several in South Carolina. Now, I don't know if this is just a South Carolina thing. One of the things that happens with the Gamecocks. It's not very common everywhere else. But, yeah, I mean, it's not – and the Pied Piper recruits usually often a quarterback, but not it doesn't have to be. And then it's also – it's not always the best player in the class either. It's kind of weird, but
he's a little too zealous to be there. I think that's what the thing is. Everybody else feels like they're supposed to be there. The Pied Piper recruit is like, this is the best I'm gonna get. Come on, guys, let's go.
Well, here's the thing too, Preston. It's like those are the outward, especially on social media now. You see. There's a lot of guys that are excited when a team gets a recruit and they're committed to the school or their players that are there and stuff. But, the outward, when the fans and all of us know it, it's a public thing. And with social media now, there's a lot of attention given and stuff. But behind the scenes, we don't know what conversations are being had. And so there may even be like a secret Pied Piper recruit we're not aware of that actually is a good player and sticks with the program. That is the clandestine Piper.
Good word. I like that.
We're getting in with all these definitions, right? I have a lot of definitions, like caged animal hire is one that I coined, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to add Pied Piper recruit and clandestine Piper recruit.
I like it.
To my glossary.
So, unfortunately, as somebody just texted in, Eli Ellis.
Oh, my eyes squarely.
Eli Ellis.
My eyes squarely. I am squarely locked in on Eli Ellis because there's not a day that goes by that I don't see an eye emoji or something's coming or look, I can't wait to reveal. Eli Ellis is on the clock. He is definitely firmly in my eyesight.
So Eli Ellis is not a professional basketball player right now, but he is a professional social media influencer.
By the way, did a show with Mr. Beast. By the way, so
the guy he's got some celebrity clout, like in the social media realm. I mean, you can always find highlights of him, and it's not hard to know what's on his mind. We'll see. We'll see on him, but yeah, I mean that would be I guess kind of a Pied Piper recruit, in basketball. Basketball has happened less frequently than football, and also football too. If you think about the Pied Piper story, there's a lot of kids that followed the Piper, right? More than probably that you get in a basketball class. So would you call that a mini Piper?
Add it to the definition.
I don't know. A biter Piper. I don't know. In basketball, I'm not sure. I don't know. But, so that's, Eli Ellis, though, is definitely an internet celebrity. He's already accomplished that. So we'll see. And as far as basketball goes with him, I don't know what you guys think. I think it's like either he's a dog and like, wow, or it's like he's going to take some work. And I don't know which one is right. I don't know that anybody does.
I got opinions on it. I'll probably get to those later. I think it's in between. I think it's in between. That overtime elite league is NBA on steroids with no defense, and also the shots he was allowed to take. But that's another time, another place for that one. Always appreciated, JC.
All right, man. Thanks,
Appreciate
brother.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Hour 3 on the way. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. Let me tell you something. Mid-State Roofing has roofed the world. Did you know that? That's actually a legitimately true statement. They roofed that world, the Planet Hollywood building down in Myrtle Beach. So they have taken care of the world, and they're ready to take care of your home or your business. And they're ready to do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's why you can give them a call at any time. 7:56 here on a Tuesday morning. You give them a phone call, they'll answer your call. They'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. You just need to give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. They'll help you with a maintenance contract, because at Mid-State Roofing, they design and install bonded systems with a protective guarantee that keeps your operation dry and running long into the future. So give them a phone call, speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing staff member today. 803-356-1919 is how you can get in touch with them. Call Mid-State Roofing today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
We have a report of an accident, I-26 eastbound between exit 101 and 104, so a slowdown in that area of I-26 eastbound. Also, some congestion, I-77 southbound due to an earlier accident between exits 16 and 20. Again, that's I-77 southbound. Forecast-wise, not much to complain about. Plenty of sunshine today, 84 for the high. We get up to the around 87 for the next few days. By Friday, 86. Could see a few storms on Saturday. 83 will be our high. But right now, it's warming up nicely. We're up to 58 at 107.5 The Game.
8 a.m. here on your Tuesday morning. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, as we get you up and get you going, Preston. Pied Piper talk. And Marshall says there might be something to that, Preston.
I'm working on it.
Even if subconsciously the Pied Piper is trying a little too hard to surround himself with talent to hide what he may not have.
Ooh, okay. Now we're getting into psychological profiles. He might be. Listen, man, we're all working here. It's just something that's developing.
Eric says the Pied Piper talk is disrespectful to guys. Try to make his team better, especially talking about current players. Just my 2 cents.
That's all good. Okay. Come see me. I don't know what to say. They're going to get to play. We get to talk. It'll be all right. It's all good.
It's a theory, and unfortunately, at times it has played out a little bit too realistically with that. So we'll see. I don't think, somebody can correct me, I don't think, at least in this recruiting class, in this football recruiting class, there's a Pied Piper just yet. And I like that we named it the Pied Piper theory.
Now you just gonna put a star on him. You put a little asterisk by him. This is the guy. So we want to see, man. Listen, we'll see how it turns out.
So if you want to continue to weigh in on that, 803-404-6100. Last night we talked about it, Preston. All right, we have moved past the NFL draft yesterday. If you watched any kind of news outlet, sports news outlet, the talk was still Shedeur Sanders, but thankfully we're going to die down from that. Baseball tonight, but probably going to be Monday before Preston makes his proclamation.
Yeah. So we're going to – the baseball season is teetering on the brink. It's very close to being mathematically over. It's not there yet.
I would say it's like a Jenga thing where you've got the block and the whole thing is about to it's crumbling. It's crumbling.
Everybody knows as soon as you pull this piece, it's going to fall. So we'll see. But I won't make my proclamation until then.
Baseball again tonight, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch over at Founders Park against Charleston Southern. So that led us into last night, which was kind of a nice, quiet playoff night in which the NHL the NHL last night wasn't awful. It ended up being a blowout. The Panthers take down the Lightning, and they scored 3 goals in the third period to do that. It was a close game through the first 2 periods. The Stars walloped the Avalanche last night. But NBA, you got a really good one. You just had to stay up to see it. And as Preston said, in hour 1, you got full Draymond Green.
Full Draymond in a matter of, and I really think it was 15 actual clock minutes, not 15 game minutes, not 15 minutes in the game, 15 actual minutes. I saw Draymond get a tech, a flagrant. He blocked a shot, and he also, what else did he do that was, and he blocked the shot. I also saw him pass up a wide open jump shot where he was like, no, thank you. I don't want that. I'm not going to take that shot. So yes, he's got full Draymond, but you knew this was happening because the Rockets playing the Warriors. Dylan Brooks, who fancies himself as a villain, but he's also equally as annoying as Draymond. So those two were bound to get tangled up, and then Draymond's his foot curiously found another player's head on the floor. It's just amazing how that always happens with Draymond. And when he's trying to get off the floor, he sometimes becomes so uncoordinated and discombobulated, he can't get up without using the other person's head. It's really a curious phenomenon how that works. But very interesting playoff series. The old Wily vets are coming back. Steph Curry, playoff Jimmy scoring a lot of points. So that's going to be interesting. Also, might not have been paying attention since LeBron left. Cleveland Cavaliers, they're good. Very good. They walloped, mollywopped the Miami Heat. The most lopsided series, the most lopsided series victories in NBA playoff history. Most lopsided playoff series in NBA history. The Cavaliers have taken that. So if you're not paying attention, and that's okay, but when you do start paying attention and you look up and you see, oh, Cleveland and Boston are in the Eastern Finals. What's going on here? Oh, Cleveland's up 1-0. Just know that things are happening.
Cleveland and Boston. Boston, by the way, you're probably right. I'm looking. The Knicks are. What if it's Cleveland and the Knicks? Because most people are just like, the Knicks are there, and then you're like, oh wait, they're the 3 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. It could. The Knicks, by the way, up 3-1 against Detroit. Very fun series. This is why we say all 3-1s aren't equal. Because Boston and Orlando, which is a fun series, but they're going to take care of that. But this 3-1 New York Pistons series, very, very fun. It's close to being tied up interested to see how that'll be a good one to watch tonight.
It is really a big night of playoffs. You got 4 hockey matches taking place. Also in basketball, you got 4 games tonight. Pacers, Bucks, Dame Lillard out now. He is torn his Achilles. And I tell you what, Preston, this is a sports discussion. When you talk about Milwaukee, that window closed.
Close it. Shut.
Giannis.
Lock tight.
Giannis, if you want another championship, you better figure out how to get trade. You need to pull a Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Giannis doesn't really have that in him, so it's going to be a little bit of a different style. I mean, it's the same thing with Dame. You know, unfortunately, we talk about these athletes, and I can't say that Dame wasted his career in Portland, but he toiled away in Portland trying to get that franchise, trying to get them, and he was steadfast in saying that I'm going to be the guy that gets this franchise to the top, and it never happened. And it never worked out, and it wasn't through any lack of effort on his part. And by the time he finally gets moved out of there and gets to a team where there's an opportunity, he's on the back end of his career and he gets injured, unfortunately. And Doc Rivers, you are a fraud. We've known this for a long time.
Fraud alert.
Fraud alert. Doc Rivers, you're back on alert. Somehow you got hired again to take over a team, and you're going to get eliminated again, and somebody else is going to hire you. I don't know how, but Doc Rivers is a fraud. But anyway, going back to this, and so Giannis is going to be in the same situation. He's done tremendous things for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's been the franchise stalwart, but that thing is over right now. So either he can make a choice to be the part to reboot it and then build around him, or he can move around, and we'll see what happens with that.
803-404-6100. Again, Pacers, Bucks. We just mentioned that.
That's done.
So, yeah, that's another one. Indiana up 3-1. Yeah, and that might be another one when you look up and you realize in the next round it's Cavs, Pacers in the second round. You're like, wait, is this a play-in tournament or what's happening? No, it's Pacers. And you like to pay. You said watching the Pacers are fun to watch.
They're fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, Tyrese Haliburton is a really good guard. Still hold a grudge against him because in the NBA 2K game, I offered him some kind of contract when he was with Sacramento. Austin and I were doing and he basically, I've never seen this, but he basically told us to stop negotiating with him. We offered him such a low contract. So it was a video. This is where real life meets like something, like when you watch an actor and you're like, that guy's not good. I don't like that guy. But, yeah, Tyrese Haliburton and the Pacers likely to close that out tonight. That'll be an early game, 6 o'clock. You're right. Knicks-Pistons has been a really good series. That'll be 7:30 tonight on TNT. And then you also got Celtics-Magics at 8:30. And then the late game, which actually has been a good series, Nuggets-Clippers. Nuggets are another one you might almost say that window just slammed shut. The way they kind of finished and then firing Mike Malone and everything that they've done.
They got the best player in the world right now, and it doesn't seem to be working out. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and Kawhi Leonard's having a resurgence. Quiet Kawhi is coming out of nowhere. 803-404-6100. Coming up in the next segment. In the next segment, we're going to give you a chance to win some family 4-pack of tickets to baseball. That'll be in the next segment, so don't go anywhere for that. But let's get out to the phone lines. Ray wants to weigh in on baseball. Ray, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, I was thinking when Coach Tanner hired Coach Maneri last year, he was basically, I'm thinking that Coach Tanner was thinking, not only would he get us in the playoffs, but maybe he'd the difference getting us back to a super regional. So I don't think Coach Maneri came here as a rebuilding type of proposition. So I'm really wondering, as bad as this year has gone, and you can just hear the hurt in Coach Maneri's voice when he does his press conference. I mean, the last game was painful, and I felt bad for him. So I'm really wondering if he's going to come back next year, because I really don't think he came here at his age and everything to do a rebuild, and this is what it's going to take. And it'll be really interesting to see what decision he makes and Donati makes. But I just want to throw that out there. But don't think he came here to rebuild, guys.
I think that's a very fair question. Going back to my analogy with the house, he came here to live in his vacation dream house, and he came back to a fixer-upper. And I don't know if that's what he was in the market for. So we'll see. I think that's a fair question, Ray.
The big picture question to what Ray just said is, with the transfer portal and everything these days, and NIL, and almost being able to purchase players, is there such a thing as a rebuild? Like, is a coach coming in a rebuild? And technically, to me, Preston, and to Ray's point, this wasn't a rebuild. There was no rebuilding. This didn't need to be rebuilt. They had been in a super regional 2 years ago. They had been in a regional last year. This was a team that was in the postseason. Now, they have backslid from where they were 2 years ago, and they're going to cap that off by not making the NCAA tournament. All SEC teams, for those wondering, all SEC teams will go to the SEC tournament. It's not like it used to be where some don't actually make it. But Preston, I think that's going to be the question we have whenever you make your prognosis and whenever we move forward when this baseball season the postseason is officially eliminated. Again, we say officially because there is still a belief that if South Carolina closed out essentially, I believe it would be 9-1, maybe 10-1. I can't remember if they got a second midweek game next week, but that 13-17 with the strength of the SEC would get them into the NCAA tournament. I'm beginning to believe that less and less, but that is still a theory out there. That's why we say technically they'd have to go 8-1 in conference against, by the way, Auburn is now number 10 in the country. LSU's number 2 in the country, and you got Florida this weekend. But that's why we say that mathematically, technically, we haven't shoveled the dirt on them just yet.
Yeah, not yet. Plenty of time for that. We don't have to rush to that.
Fortunately, we got May.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for that, so we don't have to make that proclamation. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of interesting and very fair questions that the fan base needs to ask of the team, of the staff.
I think it's the program. I think where are you going? What are you doing? Where are we going with this program? Next year aside, is this the future? Because we knew Paul Mainieri was on a limited schedule when he arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you knew this was, all right, maybe 4 years. Maybe you can max him out for 5. You knew it was limited. Year one's gone. Year one, if you're saying 4, if you were saying 5, check that one off. This isn't a 10-year project. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning. We'll come back. We'll speak a little bit more. Paul Mainieri, we'll let you listen to him yesterday from a little bit of the postgame show. And also, we'll bring up a question, man, because we talk about rebuilds and everything. What happened in Mississippi State yesterday with firing their baseball coach? We'll discuss that. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, home of the $1,000 low price guarantee. What does that mean, you ask? Well, that means you can actually shop other dealerships, take the deal that they have back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and Love Chevrolet will top it. You heard that right. They'll top it. Or they'll write you a check for $1,000. Hadn't happened yet. Won't happen anytime soon because the folks at Love Chevrolet know they have not only the largest selection of vehicles, 14 acres to be exact, but they also have the absolute best prices in town. That's why they've been taking care of families just like yours and mine since 1961. You heard that right, 1961. So that Love Chevrolet, they know that the satisfied customer is the one that will continue to come back each and every time they need a brand new vehicle. So go visit Love Chevrolet, 14 acres of Chevys to choose from, the $1,000 low price guarantee, exclusive deals on Suburbans, Tahoes, and Silverados. Get out there today, and together, let's drive.
Yeah, let's dig in.
I-20 westbound, mile marker 85. Have a report of an accident there, so be mindful passing through that area. Also, we are looking at some slowdowns there. I-26 eastbound between exit 101 and 104. A lot of congestion there, so be cautious as you pass through that stretch of the interstate. And as far as your forecast goes, man, it's just looking pretty nice. 84 today, 87 for the next few days, 86 on Friday. Might see a shower or storm coming in on Saturday, but warming up to 60 right now on 107.5 The Game.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Always sorry to hear something like that. And Chris is a good guy, and that, I thought he won a national championship just a few years ago. But everybody's making a large investment in their baseball programs, and if the administrators want to see the investment pay off. And I'm not familiar with the Mississippi State situation. I don't even know who the athletic director is, quite frankly. I know that Chris and his coaching staff are all good guys, and I'm just sorry to see this happen for him.
That is Paul Mainieri yesterday speaking about the firing of Chris Lemonis, the head baseball coach at Mississippi State. Mississippi State this year, 25-19 overall, Preston, 7-14 in conference. 25-19, 7-14 in conference. Gamecocks, for just comparison's sake, 25-20, 5-16 in conference. But you heard one of the things he said, and Chris Lemonis, Preston, won the national championship at Mississippi State in 2021. So obviously last year.
No, let me put a pin right there. 2021 is a lot closer than 2011.
Very true.
I want to make sure everybody's clear on where we are on it. Okay.
But, last year, obviously, you would think, given that he was fired this year, last year didn't go well, right? At Mississippi State? Mm-hmm. Last year didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were 40-23.
Mm-hmm.
They were 17-13 in conference. So you would think, it's really interesting. I will admit, I started looking at this more last night than anything else because I had not paid attention. Lemonis is a name that was very popular for this job.
Mm-hmm.
I think even as far back as, last May, last June.
Hold that pin.
So I say that because you know where Lemonis...
He's unemployed right now.
You know where Lemonis grew up?
Mm-mm.
Myrtle Beach. You know where he played college baseball? Citadel.
Hold that pin.
So it's an interesting situation, and I think a glimpse into the view of where we are at with college athletics. Now, maybe more will come of it, that he was doing something we are completely unaware of, or I don't know. But the numbers, the records are not suggesting a guy that was falling apart. Let me give you the full breakdown, though. 2021, they go 50-18 and win the College World Series. 2022, they have a losing record, 26-30. They were 9-21 in conference. 2023, they're 27-26, 9-21 in conference. Last year, 40-23, 17-13, and went to an NCAA regional, and now he has been fired.
Yeah. And Zach Selman, who's the AD of Mississippi State, his statement was, "We have not consistently met the standard of success that our university fans and student athletes expect and deserve." I repeat, we have not consistently met the standard of success that our university fans and student athletes expect and deserve. I think that is a poignant statement. I think that's true of Mississippi State. And I think if we take that statement and we just transpose it to South Carolina baseball, I think it's still true. We have not consistently met the standard of success that our university's fans and student athletes expect and or deserve.
One thing about South Carolina is, one, there's a history of great baseball. But I remember having this conversation in 2009, 2010, 2011. people didn't understand the consistency with which Ray Tanner produced great baseball teams. Like, for you to go on a run of essentially about 14 straight years, I think it was 14, somewhere in that ballpark, of making the NCAA tournament. Okay, even if you look at LSU's history, who has a great history, there's about we'll say 4 really good seasons, 1 average season, and then 1 where they missed the tournament. They would do that, and then they'd win and in those 4, they'd win a College World Series. What we became accustomed was like, yeah, baseball in June at Sarge Fry Field or at Founders Park for regionals. Oh yeah, that's a given. Like, we got lulled into just, oh yeah, this is what happens, and now we're back where everybody else is. And we're not used to that because we went through 14 for a lot of us, a lot of people my age, your age. We grew up just, okay, it's what we're doing right now with Dawn Staley and her team. Oh, yeah, this is a given. This happens every year, right? Nobody else is like, what do you mean you're not like this? Tennessee used to be, you're not like this anymore?
Oh, man, we came in second place this year. What a disappointing season.
Yeah, literally. And for a long period there, that was what South Carolina baseball was. You honestly, my first years doing radio, I didn't understand that summer radio is difficult because South Carolina made runs to the College World Series. That's what they did. And I was like, oh, okay, so we have like 2 weeks where we got to fill the void, figure out something to talk about between now and football and SEC Media Days. Mm-hmm. That's not been South Carolina baseball for, as you pointed out, over a decade now.
Yes, and that's why so there's a whole generation, maybe 2 generations, who do not know anything about that. Those games were probably not even in HD. They might have been in standard definition when you're watching Whit Merrifield, and those guys are retiring out the league. Jackie Bradley Jr. is calling games now. That was a distant memory of years past. Mississippi State, who just won the championship in 2021, said, we're not meeting our consistent standard now. And if we need to do something now, then something needs to be done now. And I think that is very interesting, the approach that Mississippi State is taking, where they take baseball seriously.
Well,
they are, and they also stated that in their mind, Mississippi State is the premier baseball job in the country. In their mind, they have a history to back it up, and that's what they think in their mind. And they don't think their coach was living up to the standards, and they made a move. I don't see a problem with that.
And South Carolina did that last year. South Carolina did that. They did that. And because, truthfully, and if you go back to post-Ray Tanner, you really look at what Chad Holbrook did, and quite frankly, Chad Holbrook, at most universities, not all, most universities, was ultra successful, right? Mark Kingston, at most universities, was fairly successful. Let's remember, Mark Kingston got fired. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't have been fired. Mark Kingston got fired when he had made 3 regionals and 1 super regional in 4 years, in the last 4 years. And South Carolina said, we're not meeting what our expectation is. We haven't been to the World Series. We're not hosting a super regional. In his defense, he did host Mark Kingston did host 2 regionals in 4 years here. So South Carolina did that. Mark Kingston in 6 years. Now, I'm not counting COVID. They were 12-4 that year. But in 6 years, Mark Kingston made 4 regionals and 2 super regionals. Again, there is a level of baseball that South Carolina expects to be at that wasn't being met. And then there's another level that most would have been, that's not bad at all. 4 out of 6, you're in the postseason? Okay, we'll take that. South Carolina was not meeting that.
They weren't, and that's why they made a change, and we're not meeting that again. And so the question is going to be coming: do we see this growing, or do we see it? Which way do you see the trend? Obviously, Mississippi State felt like the trending was trending downward, and that's why they made that change. The decisions are going to have to be made around here. Where does everybody see this trending?
Well, as you pointed out, the question is going to end up being is how, and I think this is the new age look at college sports. Lamont Paris, Paul Maneri, even a Shane Beamer. You have a bad year because you and I, specifically with basketball, 2 years ago, I feel like we've never been at the forefront of anything more than we were 2 years ago. When in January we're like, get into bracketology, get into what South Carolina's doing basketball wise, because This is a year-to-year basis now. Your team is almost year-to-year. Whatever occurred with South Carolina basketball last year will probably not be the case next year. It's going to be a different team. We know that, transfer portal and everything. Baseball is going to be the same way. So how you assess a bad year or 2 bad years from a coach, or how you assess a good year, say a 9-4 football season, on the heels of a 5-7 missed bowl season. And that's it. That's Jeremiah Denied. We as fans, you and I, and Jen, as talk show hosts, entertainers,
as loudmouth gas bags,
yeah,
doing our job, just spouting opinions off. Yeah, that's what the decision is going to have to be. And I think the idea of where do they see it trending? Is this the staff that can get things going in the right direction? Why did they take this step backwards from where they were, and what do they see as their plan going forward?
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in on that if you want to text in or give us a phone call. I'll get some of these text messages. AJ weighs in and says, Mississippi State pulled the trigger early on Lamonas. Carolina pulled the trigger way too late on Kingston. Just making a regional isn't good enough. I understand that. Seth weighs in and says, if Paul leaves year 2, Landon Powell is no longer taking a chance. Go get him. I still wouldn't. Landon's got to do it at a bigger level. That's you're South Carolina. You should be able to go hire, if with money, a big time coach. You should be able. You should be able to. And so, and I'm nothing against Landon Powell, but if he's such a great coach, why hasn't another baseball program in the SEC or the ACC looked at him? 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank. Let me tell you, Jacob is the mortgage guru in this market. I know that to be a fact. I used him just a few years ago, and right now I can tell you what, Jacob Crowder is helping families all over the Midlands. He's ready to take care of you. With the interest rates right now being the way they are, you need to be in touch with him. If you're thinking about purchasing a home today, if you're thinking about refinancing, Jacob is the guy to get you taken care of. So give him a phone call, 803-719-1005. With First Palmetto Bank, they are locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands. So Jacob has local decision makers, which means quick and precise underwriting. For more information, you can send him an email. The letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. See what the interest rates are, see what the down payment might be, and what your monthly mortgage payments would be. Call Jacob Crowder today. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
I-77 southbound, some congestion between exits 16 and 20, kind of slowing things down a little bit in that vicinity. I-20 westbound there at mile marker 85, also a report of an accident that you might have to contend with on the highways. And I-26 eastbound, again, between exits 101 and 104, continued congestion there from an earlier tie-up. So be careful if you would. We're looking at 84 and sunny skies. That's what we'll be encountering as far as your forecast goes. 87 tomorrow and Thursday. Come Friday, a few clouds, 86. It is currently 60, warming up nicely on 107.5 The Game.
$8:35 as we roll along. Let's give you a chance right now. We'll take callers 3 and 4. Callers 3 and 4, we've got 2 family 4-packs of tickets for tonight. South Carolina and Charleston Southern, 6:15 pregame right here on 107.5 The Game. 6:30 first pitch. We'll take callers 3 and 4. You can win a family 4-pack of tickets. It's going to be a beautiful night. Go see baseball, get a hot dog.
20 and over is quad 3 and 4 teams.
20 and 0.
Keeping the streak. You want to see a streak continue to be preserved. This is the game you need to go to. You could be seeing history, a team that goes perfect in the midweek series.
You could be seeing that. That is correct.
Right?
Could happen. Could happen. But yeah, callers.
Or you could be seeing
it could be
real bad
could
things.
Be bad. No, 803-404-6100 right now. Callers 3 and 4. Callers 3 and 4. You win a family 4-pack of tickets to South Carolina baseball tonight. Again, 803-404-6100. How you can do that. It is Tuesday. Typically, we do a little transfer portal Tuesday, Preston Thorne. And some of the transfer portal Tuesday doesn't always have to center around what South Carolina has added.
In honor of the draft, we wanted to do a Where Are They Now? And keep up with some of the folks who are draft eligible who have left the coop. So let's start off with a banger. Juice Wells, undrafted free agent, signed by the New York Giants. And this is a shout out to Mike Uva, did a great job on Gamecock Central compiling these. But Juice Wells posted career lows this year, did not have a great season, went from, and this is where when we talk about what projections mean, this is why they are projections. They're not facts. They're not written in stone, because anything can happen between where Juice Wells was projected to be drafted when he was here as a Gamecock to where he ended up not being drafted as a member of the Ole Miss. So there's a wide range between what he thought was going to happen and what eventually ended up happening. So we'll see how that goes for Juice. Juice is still very skilled. He's still very, very shifty when he gets the ball. I'd imagine when he gets in camp, he'll probably make a roster.
Juice Wells is going to be a very interesting kind of, I say Juice, it's just, I assume, and I don't know this to be fact, after his first season at South Carolina, Preston, I assume he was a draftable prospect. I assume maybe it would have been 5th, 6th, 7th. I don't know. I remember thinking at the end of the season that he likely was going to go ahead and declare for the draft anyway. And I remember sitting here saying, if he came back, he could go down as one of the greatest wide receivers in the history of South Carolina in 2 years, because I thought about the relationship he was developing with Spencer Rattler. Obviously, he suffered the foot injury during the summer or something. July is when most people seem to say it happened. And then comes back, scores the touchdown against Georgia, lands on it funny or whatever, and we never see him again. And then you get the rumors of he was cleared by the Florida game and he chose not to play. His situation is different than, say, another transfer who's on your list who did just get drafted. I don't think there's animosity toward Jordan Burch. Jordan Burch played the bowl game. He played the bowl game against Notre Dame. For whatever reason, he elected to leave. Juice Wells seemed to string along the coaches, the teammates, the fan base even going as far as to put something out that he was coming back. But as some people pointed out on that particular day, not being specific to where he was coming back to, promoting his merchandise, if you will, and then instantly being like, I'm out. And then at Mississippi, seeming to take him and Lane Kiffin small little pot shots at South Carolina.
Yeah.
And he goes down as not drafted, will not be remembered at Mississippi for anything, is disliked at South Carolina. James Madison probably doesn't want anything to do with him. It's an interesting situation on what is college football these days.
Yeah, this is an absolute case study in modern college football because it is very interesting. All of those things being said, I still would make the argument in the case that plenty of guys have gone from being projected to be drafted to going undrafted. And in those previous times when they were going those projections, they would have zero amount of money to fall back on because they were not able to earn during their time in college. And so for all of that, Juice Wells was able to earn, and whether he plays or not, whether he took care of his money or not, he still will have a significant amount of money to transition into the next phase of his life. Jordan Burch was drafted, though, 3rd round. And I told y'all, he's going to play for 15 years in the NFL. He got drafted in the 3rd round. And here's the thing. He might not even be that good in the NFL again. This dude just has the numbers, and he has everything that can make somebody an NFL player. He will play for a long time in the NFL, and you'll probably see him, if we're still doing this show in 7 years, we'll probably be saying, Jordan Burch signs again with another team. He's a journeyman, and he's been playing for 6 years on 7 different teams. He just has the qualifications of doing it. So Jordan Burch should have left. In between undrafted expectations of dropping and Jordan Burch sort of filling his obligation of dropping. Also, again, remember, this is how difficult it is to get drafted. Jordan Burch was a 5-star recruit with all of the intangibles, everything you wanted. He still went in the 3rd round. Just shows you how ridiculous. Stone Blanton, undrafted free
What does the
agent.
insurance field look like these days?
Undrafted free agent, 49ers. He went to play for Mississippi State, played for them. Did not play great. He was fine. We'll see what that turns out for him. As I told you all yesterday, there's various levels of free agency. I would wonder what tier he's on. Also, Mario Anderson signed with the Los Angeles Rams. If you remember, Mario was here for a year. Another very interesting story. Newberry, USC, Memphis, maybe the NFL. We'll see how that goes for them. And everybody remember we was talking about the difference between our kickers. Mitch Jeter invited to a rookie minicamp for the Minnesota Vikings. Did not have a great season last year, as I tried to tell you all, even though you were clamoring for him. Tried to tell everybody that. Did not have a great season, but he was invited to a minicamp. Wonder what he does with that. Remember, Mitch said that he went to Notre Dame to go to school. I wonder if he just says, you know what? I got this Notre Dame degree. I'm good.
He's a kicker. I would assume he doesn't get hit. I'm assuming he's going to kind of hang around and see what he can figure out there in the league.
See how it goes.
Who'd you say he was? Where'd you say he was?
The Vikings.
Vikings. Oh, well, there you go. By the way, we got an update on your fandom now that the draft is over.
I was hoping that.
I mean, we got to put like a deadline on you, don't we? Do we have to put a
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll put a deadline on me. I will make my decision after the NFL schedule comes out.
Okay, that's May the 14th.
May the 15th, I'll be making a proclamation.
Mark that down on your calendars, May the 15th. Preston Thorne with a big announcement on his new NFL, or maybe the same NFL team. 803-404-6100 We'll come back. We will wrap up the program. You're listening to The Early Game.
That's the philosophy.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
The Sunday morning interview, a nice, lighthearted discussion with Bill Belichick about his new book and everything, and it goes sideways there slightly for him.
Yeah, it definitely went off the rails. And as I said, reported this from TMZ reports that was not the only interruption. There were several interruptions, several stoppages, several times that Bill was told to either change and or not answer a question throughout this interview from his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, who's by de facto also serving as his PR manager, I'm assuming.
I believe you are correct on that. And I think there was a delay where she walked out. So, like, the filming was delayed for 30 minutes. And, yeah, girlfriend's got way too much power right now.
And to CBS's point, if you've watched CBS Sunday Morning, it's supposed to be a lighthearted show. It's supposed to be fun. And what they were saying was the only reason they even included that exchange was because it had happened multiple times. And so it's not even, they did him a favor, essentially, by only showing that one aspect, but they had to show it. Or else they would have been, they had some journalistic integrity by showing this. But the big question was, Jordan and Bill were dressed alike. Twinsies. Maybe not twinsies because they had on different color sweatshirts, but they had on the same sweatshirt. They were both wearing a navy crew neck. Bill's was distressed on the collar, and Jordan was wearing it as if she was a college student because, by the way, she could be. They were wearing the
True,
same
we
uniform.
got two running backs older than her.
This is correct. This is correct. So they were wearing the same uniform, but our question was, do you and your spouse dress alike? Yes or no?
Now, we've set some parameters on this. Again, some of the parameters, one of which is pretty simple. It's going to a ball game, but wearing the same, like if you're wearing South Carolina gear or whatever you may wear, the same, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wearing the same jersey, let's say you both have, number 16 jerseys, Sellers jerseys, not okay.
Mm-hmm. That gets dicey. We also said that costume party, okay.
True.
Jen added family pictures, okay. Sounds good. Everybody wants to dress up in their linen and go to the beach and take a picture?
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Random PR interview, we might have an issue here.
Yeah.
Now, would it be okay, because here's the other part of this, if they had something on together that was promoting the book? If they were promoting the book together.
If it was something really, yeah, maybe that would be something okay.
Or what about this? Hey, Chapel Bill, how about a UNC sweatshirt?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
Since that's who you paying you $10 million
If they were both wearing North Carolina stuff, I mean,
be fine.
She might be the de facto coach there right now.
Why are you wearing this Navy sweatshirt? You don't work for Navy.
So do you think he
doesn't even understand how college works, Bill?
Do you think he walked into the bedroom or whatever? She had it laid out on him, like laid out the.
Oh, I assure you,
1,000%.
Like it's laid out.
Here's what you're wearing today.
1,000,000%. Well, why does it have it whole? Because that's cool now, Bill. You got to wear it. It makes you look earthy.
Why does he care? He's usually cut off, so, so
right.
Hey, that fits his,
and that's exactly what she said. She said, "Oh yeah, it fits perfect with what you're doing right here."
But I did confirm that she is competing for Miss Maine, May 10th and 11th.
I did do some research on that. Yes.
So it'd be interesting. Will he be
recompeting? Because I believe she lost, and
I think you're
she's
correct.
Going back for it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. This is the hard hitting news that you need to know. And again,
you do?
This is important because I've never has anybody ever seen Shane Beamer out in public not wearing a Gamecock?
That's a good point.
How would we feel if Shane Beamer was out here wearing a Virginia Tech shirt? Get out of here.
Right.
You work for us, sir.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's wearing a Navy shirt on a national broadcast. He doesn't understand how college works. This is going straight towards 2 and 10, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get
2 and 10 Bill actually has a ring to it.
Yeah, it might be. He doesn't get it. He doesn't know how this works. He's setting this thing up for something else. And I would position that if I was a Chapel Hill fan, I would not be very excited about how this is shaping up.
I'm telling you, you're going to see her on the sidelines with headphones, with a headset. Yep.
I mean,
is there an email that goes out from her to all staff members? All play calls must be copied to me.
Yes.
Listen.
And I will tell Bill what he can play and what he cannot.
Listen, it wouldn't be his only family member on the sideline because, his son is the defensive coordinator and his other son is the defensive backs coach.
Yeah. I think UNC is like, what did we do and how do we get out of it?
I wonder. It feels like they're like, all right. It feels like they're all sitting there, the administration, the athletic department's like, all right, this is the offseason stuff. Just get to August and it's going to be fine. He's going to do what he loves to do and coach.
Yeah.
And he's going to be fine.
The only problem is, Bill, in his last 4 seasons in the NFL, 29-39. He's not a good coach anymore. In fact, some people may argue he's never been a good coach when he didn't have a GOAT.
That's an interesting point.
And I would also argue not only the GOAT of offense as a quarterback, but you know how he made his bones as a defensive coordinator? Oh, yeah. He was the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants with Lawrence Taylor.
Oh.
Which brings me to a very fast point. You see Abdul Carter basically asking LT for his jersey number to wear, and LT basically, nah.
Yeah, nah. Abdul, no. That's not how that works.
Only got better because in Abdul Carter's little, Twitter or whatever Instagram statement, he's like, this will just cause me to work harder. I'm like, really? This is the thing that you're like, oh, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, again, I think I would say this. Bill Belichick has been – there's a reason why he's not coaching in the NFL anymore because nobody in the NFL wanted him to coach for them. And if you listen to that interview, you can see he doesn't interview very well. And if he puts up his his body of work in the last years, it has not been very good. He does not hire well. Anybody? Matt Patricia, Joe Judge. Those names ring a bell as his offensive and defensive coordinators that he's been. This guy's on fraud alert.
Gotcha. Well.
But he will be well taken care of, and hopefully the IG pics will look good. Which, by the way, he didn't even know they were going. He didn't even understand that the pictures that he was taking were
he just
going out
discovered.
to the world. He's like, oh, they're posted?
Gotcha.
Good luck, Chapel Bill.
We will come back, do it all again tomorrow, Preston.
Yes, sir.
Wednesday morning. Y'all have a good day.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.